Hello, this is another Immigration Art video. My name is Art Serratelli. We are a nationwide law firm and we provide nationwide immigration support. How should an international student answer immigration questions on a job application? Well, first of all, let's put this into a context. When is an international student required to fill out a job application? Well, either during school, while you're in class and you perhaps want to work on CPT, or after you graduate, you may be filling out applications to work on OPT. So to get the job offer, you need to fill out an application, which raises the question. When you are asked on a job application, do you need sponsorship to work in the United States? Or are you authorized to work in the United States? What is the question really asking, and what should you do in terms of putting an answer down on the application form? If you find that these questions are very vaguely written, it's because they are. If you find that the vaguely worded question indicates a lack of understanding of your specific immigration situation, that's because they do lack an understanding. The questions are too generic to possibly be answered accurately in terms of your specific situation over the long term. Are you authorized to work in America? When? Do you mean right now? Do you mean when I graduate? Do you mean 12 months after I graduate? Do you mean 2 years after I graduate? What do you mean? This question is inherently vague because it has no temporal context. Without a context, without a contextual reference, you are being asked to answer a question, the answer to which you don't know what the consequence will be. What if you check, I need sponsorship, and then you don't get the job interview? What do I mean by that? Let's take a look. If the company is a big company, normally the larger companies have no problem with sponsoring H-1B work visas and accepting OPT workers. That's because they've made a policy decision that it is in the company's best interest to get the best and the brightest students, and yes, it is worth the time for them to sponsor you. So, if you are filling out an application for one of these employers, you would like to confirm if they sponsor people for the H-1B. If they sponsor and they ask you, do you need sponsorship? Say yes. Say yes, because if you need it and they offer it, they like you. During the interview, they like you. You'll get the job offer and you'll get the OPT work experience, and they'll put you in line for an H. How do you find out who these employers are? There's a great website, in my opinion, one of the greatest websites on the planet, myvisajobs.com. So this website tells you who sponsors H's and who also further sponsors the green card. So you could figure out if the company you're going to interview with sponsors an H-1B. Here's the link. It's www.myvisajobs, all one word, myvisajobs.com. But now, what happens if you have a job application, you look up the company name in this database, myvisajobs.com, and they're not listed? Ah, what's that mean? What's that mean? It means either the company has a policy, we don't sponsor H-1Bs for entry-level people, or we don't sponsor H-1Bs, period, or it means they've never had the opportunity to sponsor an international worker and they don't even know what an H-1B is. So what's that mean? To get in front of them, you need to get to the interview. How do you get to the interview? You check the right boxes on the application. So here, and also email me and I'll send you. I've got all these immigration questions from various job applications, and you can see some of them are very vague. And how do you answer some of these? Here's the rule. Here's the rule. To answer these questions, to maximize your chance of getting the interview, what you've got to do is read the questions, and if they're vague, they're going to be vague because they have no temporal context. They're not asking you about your immigration status today or tomorrow or 2 years from tomorrow. They're just asking you, are you authorized to work in America? What do you mean, now? When I graduate? 2 years after I graduate? What do you mean? Am I authorized to what? Or do you need visa sponsorship now or in the future? Future? What do you mean? When I graduate? 2 years after I graduate? I know what now is. Now is right now. If they don't give you a temporal context, you can only answer the question truthfully in terms of right now. In the millisecond you're filling out the application, that's when you have to answer the question as yes or no. Do you need sponsorship or don't you? Well, let's take an example. Are you authorized to work in the United States? That's vague. Am I authorized to work in the United States? What, now? Yes. If say you're a senior in college, you're a senior. Sure. Am I authorized to work now? You bet. I have the ability to go work at the bookstore on campus, the cafeteria. I can get a job on campus. It's part of my status. I'm allowed to do that. Here's another one. Here's another one. Are you authorized permanently? Are you permanently authorized to work in the United States? Ah, that's a little more specific. Permanently? Well, let me think. Right now, I am allowed because I can go work on campus. When I graduate, I'm allowed. I'll have OPT. But permanently, after OPT, I'm going to need an H-1B. All right, so am I permanently authorized to work in America? No, I'm not. That's clear. You got to say no. Are you going to need sponsorship now or at any time in the future? Hello? What? What do you mean? I understand now. Now is right now when I check the box. I don't need sponsorship now. In this millisecond of time, do I need sponsorship now? No. I can go work at the cafeteria. I can work at the bookstore on campus. I can work on campus. No. Do I need it in the future? Well, sorry, you're not telling me when in the future. I'm a senior in college. I'm 21. I'm 20. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do after class today. Am I going to go to the gym, or am I going to go study, or am I going to go have an early dinner? I don't know what I'm doing tonight. You want to know about my future? You mean when I graduate? All right, when I graduate, I can think that far ahead. When I graduate, no. I will not need sponsorship because I have OPT. So you answer honestly. You have a reason. You've got to answer honestly in the millisecond you check the box. Answer honestly and have a reason for why you checked the box the way you did. So in the interview, if they say, hey, this person is smart and they don't need sponsorship, I like this application, let's get that person in here. When you're in there, if the company has a policy, no H-1Bs, and they find out that you're going to need an H-1B, they're going to say, whoa, you check no. What are you doing here? You check no. You don't need sponsorship? You do. You do need sponsorship. You need an H. You need an H-1B. And then you say, oh, you meant that far in the future? Oh, I interpreted future to mean when I graduate. Oh, this is a misunderstanding. I'm really sorry. Maybe it's as simple as this. When I checked that box, I thought I was just going to study, have a year of OPT, and then go back home. My parents wanted me back home. But since I checked that box, since I submitted my application, I've changed my mind. I've found out that I get more work experience faster in America than back home, and I want to work for you. I am so excited about this opportunity. If you don't mind, we could talk about my credentials. We could talk about why I am the perfect fit for this job. So if you think checking the box, I don't need sponsorship, will get you the interview, do it. If you feel uncomfortable, if you think that in any way that's misleading, and I personally don't think it is, at the time you answered truthfully, based upon your interpretation of the words. But if you don't feel comfortable doing that, then don't. Then tell everybody you need sponsorship. In fact, some schools will tell you, the career offices in some schools will tell you, you got to tell everybody you need sponsorship. You're an international student. Other schools will say, well, you know what? Tell the employers who recruit on our campus that you need sponsorship. Why? Because we don't want any misunderstandings. And if you start telling people you don't need sponsorship, which is truthful, I understand why you say you don't need it. It's truthful, but we don't want any misunderstandings. We want every recruiter to know that if you're an international student interviewing with them, they are going to have to, quote, sponsor you at some time or another if they want to keep you. So you tell them you need sponsorship if you find the recruiter through our career office. When you're looking on monster.com, when you're looking at the classified ads online or in the newspaper, if you find a job offer through a friend, tell them whatever you want. That's fine, because it's not coming through our career office. Or the third choice is just tell everybody, I don't need sponsorship, and then have a good reason why you said that. If a question is vaguely worded, answer it truthfully in the moment you're presented with that question. Here's one. Here's another one. Do you have the permanent right to work in the United States? No, you don't. You can work here during school on CPT. You can work here after graduation on OPT, and then it runs out. If you want to stay beyond OPT, you need something else. It's not a permanent right. So that's clear. You got to say, I do not. I don't. Do you have the permanent right to work here? No, I do not. Here's another one. Sometimes the application writers, the question writers, get to be too fancy. They get too fancy. Look at this question. Are you authorized to work for any employer in the United States? Question mark. If not, are you authorized to work for a specific employer in the United States? Now, I know what they're getting at. They want to know if you have a blank slate to just go work anywhere, meaning you got a green card, or if you're specifically tied to an employer that you probably have H-1B, and they don't even want to transfer your H-1B. But that's not what the question says. I mean, seriously, be fair. Be fair to yourself as the international student. Are you authorized to work for any employer in the United States? When? Right now? Right now? Yeah, I am. I could work for any employer on campus, the bookstore, the cafeteria. Yeah, I could work for any employer on campus. It's in the United States. And when I graduate, I get OPT. That lets me work anywhere in America. Am I authorized to work for any employer in the United States? Yeah, either right now in school or right after I graduate. What do you mean? What do you mean? So in other words, send for these questions, and I will help you answer these questions in a way that makes you feel comfortable, and hopefully in a way that maximizes your chances to go from the application to the actual job interview.